Welcome to the Bioptimizers Awesome Health Podcast. And now here's your host, Wade T. Lightheart.
What if you could double your energy naturally without caffeine or stimulants in just 3 short months? It's not only possible, you can transform every aspect of your health if you follow the 12-week blueprint we've created for you in the Awesome Health System. The Awesome Health System is a free course where you receive a daily video lesson spanning the most cutting-edge secrets for air, water, exercise, sunshine, optimizers, mindset, and education. It's something most companies would charge hundreds of dollars for, yet you get it for free when you go to bioptimizers.com. To access your course, register to download the PDF report called 3 Phases of Bioptimization, which gets you access to the report and daily access to the first lesson in the 12-week, 84-day Awesome Health course.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's Wade T. Lightheart from Bioptimizers with another edition of the Awesome Health Podcast. And today we're going to talk about something that's super critical in today's world, which is we're going to talk about a simple mechanical tool that allow you to address the root cause that may be causing you to be less than yourself. Things like anxiety and fear, the patterns and behaviors that may be holding you back from your best self. And our guest today is no other than Daniel Packard, who happens to be a mechanical engineer whose company, Full Liberation Technology, spent 8 years and over $1 million in research and development to reverse engineer an innovative system that's helped thousands of people live much happier lives by being free of what holds them back quickly and permanently. You may ask, how the heck is an engineer able to help people be permanently happier? Well, here's what you're about to find out. You're going to find out how an engineer is getting better results than a trained professional. Plus, you're going to hear about how people say that anxiety is on the rise. All the data supports this. And that's a lot because of things like social media. But you say you have nothing to do with it. Why is that so? And then you say that self-help books can be dangerous. Why would that be? Well, fortunately, Daniel is here today to answer some of those questions. But more importantly, he's going to put forth an offer to you that allows you to transform those negative feelings that are holding you back or creating stress and anxiety in life and not letting you live your full self with a simple and easy method that I actually went through this morning. And I'm quite impressed, not just with the structure of it, because the structure is simple and easy, but the science behind it is truly profound. And that is what engineers do. They take complex problems and they create a system that allows you to get the benefits, even if you don't understand the mechanics. And we are surrounded by the gifts of engineers in the modern world: your car, your phone, your computer, heck, your toaster, your coffee pot. All of these things were built by engineers, including the technology that we're listening to this from. So without any further ado, Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Wade. And I got to tell you, that is one heck of an intro. That was multidimensional. And I was listening, I thought, who is this guy? And I thought, that's me. But also, I just feel grateful that not only do I get to help people, which is what you do, but I get to come on podcasts like this and get intros. I wish everybody was lucky enough that every morning you were at the foot of their bed. And when they got out of bed, you said, coming to the world now is Kevin. Kevin is excellent at commuting and bringing just the right amount of food to potlucks. I just wish everybody got a Wade intro. What do you think as a side hustle?
I'm actually, there's 2 things I'm fascinated with and have been my whole life. One is, believe it or not, the announcers at boxing fights and UFC events. Because I was just at the UFC at the Sphere, and Bruce Buffer was doing the introduction. And I listened to it around the world, and I used to watch the old Mike Tyson fights and all those type of things. And, and to the millions around the world, and fighting out of the red corner. He's got a professional record, and they just build it up. And years and years ago, when I was a struggling guy in a rural area with not a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges, and probably a non-performing environment, at least in my social circle. But I was fortunate enough to have the bolstering of my folks who were very supportive of my ideas, no matter how crazy they were. And for me, I wanted to be a bodybuilder, competing at the Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia, training at Gold's Gym next to Arnold Schwarzenegger, owning a supplement company and living in Venice Beach, California. And this was my dream at 15, living in the frozen tundra of New Brunswick, Canada. And I would train in my gym, and I would announce at that time to a very small crowd, which was my family. And I would say, no, you don't understand. One day, and it took me 30 some years to get there, but I would tell this story. And I think to start with, and we'll get to your story here, because I think that's important, because every person who solves problems usually has gone through their own hero's journey. In other words, in order to commit and make a difference in the world, oftentimes the practitioner has had those challenges and had a whole lot of experiences that were suboptimal. And then the pain just became too much, or the process of discovery, the journey that one was going on, and all the dragons and, people that were getting in the way, said, I've got to find a better way. Is that the case with you, Daniel? Did you struggle with these things? Were you motivated to do what you're doing today because of your own struggles or from your clients? What was the backstory that allowed you to develop this technology?
Well, that's usually the way it goes, is we help people with anxiety, perfectionism, people-pleasing, procrastination, and low confidence. And usually, yes, someone is in pain and they discover something. But no, Wade, I was just born from eggs in Roswell without any issues. And I just really transcended. Oh, wait a minute. That's not me. No, now that you mention it, I didn't have issues. I had subscriptions. So yes. And it's why we did this. When we tell people what we do, which is a simple mechanical understanding that heals the root cause of what we call the funky five. Again, anxiety, procrastination, people-pleasing, perfectionism, and low confidence. Most people are a bit skeptical. But when you think about it, it's because so much of what I call the improvement industrial complex, the therapists, the psychologists, the spiritual teachers, it's $1 trillion with a T dollar industry a year. Trillion. And for the most part, what you'll see is almost none of it quickly and measurably solves the root cause quickly. It's usually tips and tools for awareness and symptom management, which isn't bad, but it's an inefficient industry. And the reason we've discovered something more efficient is because we did care. We put in the time. And that's the beauty of engineers and inventors and problem solvers. I was just watching this Netflix show, I'm Putting a Person on the Moon. When you have a bunch of committed people that want to solve a problem and they focus, which is what engineers and scientists and problem solvers do, they create incredible technology. As you said, the technology we're listening to, that's all people that didn't think they could pull it off, but they were focused on a solution and they stayed focused on it for years at times. So your average therapist, psychologists, and spiritual teachers, they're what I call learner sharers. They learn things and they share them. Now, that's valuable, but what they're sharing is usually symptom management. It's usually to manage the symptoms. It's awareness. It's not a permanent solution. Then you have the inventors, the engineers, and the physicists who are focused problem solvers. The problem is the engineer, innovative problem solvers to innovate are focused on the outside world, which is why we now have a helicopter on Mars, because the problem solvers, the innovators, are focused on the outside world. The learner sharers aren't innovative, but they're on the inside world. So the reason we pulled this off is if you take a Venn diagram of inventive engineering innovators and problem solvers, and you have a circle of people focusing on the inside, usually it's two separate circles. But if you bring those two circles together, right in the middle is yours truly and my company, which is this innovative engineers who focused on the inside. And that's why we're doing it. And the reason we ended up here is because when I was a kid, my dad was a physicist, and he said, anybody can have a theory or an idea, but you don't know if they know what they're talking about. He said, it's the person that gets results that you should trust. And he said something that always stuck with me, which is results matter. And as a kid, my dad lent me his workshop, and I was like a little MacGyver, a little Ferris Bueller. I would invent things And it was very satisfying to build a prototype and make things and get something that works. It's a certain mindset. It's an attitude to look out and say, this doesn't exist. I'm going to make it. It's not everybody. So I go to engineering school to be properly professionally trained, to look at a complex problem, break it down into mechanical components. That's just the theory. Then you build a prototype. Okay. Does it work the first time? Heck no. You work on it. You prototype it. You refine it until it works consistently. Now, the good news was I was trained to make machines work, but I didn't know how to make life work. So I could make a robot that played ping pong, but I had anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, low confidence. And, like your audience, I go looking for help. I go to the therapist, the psychologist, the spirit teachers, the apps, the retreats. And after, 10 years, 100 grand spent, I had awareness, Wade. I had tips and tools to manage it, but it wasn't gone. It was there, keeping me from who I wanted to be, keeping me from fulfilling my purpose and destiny. I wasn't as happy as I wanted to be. And I felt like there was this thing stopping me. And I just had this awareness as an engineer. I looked up to the heavens and I was pissed. I just looked up at God, universe, and I was mad. I said, what do you want from me? I said, I know this is a test. I get it. I'm fine with that. My name is Daniel in the Lion's Den. I get it. This is a test, but I've been at this 10 years. What's the test? What do you want from me? What do you want from me? And I was just being rhetorically pissed off. I get this sort of voice, this transmission that said, results matter. You're an engineer. Go solve this. And we went at it. I started a research company with the mission to see, could we reverse engineer an understanding of the Funky Five and human happiness, to reverse engineer an understanding that could create a system such that if you work the steps, you get the results, which is that you're free of it in a short period of time and it's measurable and consistent. And we didn't know if we could do it. It was way harder than we thought. But that's the beauty of engineers. We just stay focused. It took 8 years. We worked with 3,000 people, $1 million in R&D, as you said. And eventually we had 2 key discoveries that made it possible to permanently be free of the Funky Five in a short period of time. And I'm going to be sharing with your audience those key discoveries. But that's how I ended up here, is a lot of pain, my dad saying results matter, and just being an engineer that wanted to solve this for myself and the world.
Yeah, it's a great story. I'm recently taking a course on the Jordan Peterson Academy on evolutionary biology from Eric and Heather Weinstein. And what they were talking about is creating a set of tools of looking at the world and recognizing that all of nature solves for pushing genes into the future. So everything you see is a solution to that problem, and you can reverse engineer what you observe into an evolutionary biological model. I thought that was fascinating. Now, why am I reporting that? Well, because it's the same type of process. I think a lot of people don't recognize is the emotions that they might be feeling or are self-protection mechanisms because of maybe an inappropriate or certainly suboptimal perception of the consequences of making a mistake or not doing it right or failing in some contract, social contract that you have, or a contract with yourself or relationships or with your business or your career path. You all go down to that. It comes down to, we have a highly technologically advanced world, as you identified accurately. Anxiety should be reducing if all these things make our life better, but we're seeing the inverse relationship of that. And that's not to say that technology is to blame. It's how we are adapting. So Darwin said, it's not the survival of the fittest, it's the survival of the most adaptable. So for anyone who's listening to this and is saying, well, I don't even want to admit that I have low confidence, or no, that's not me, or whatever. Well, let's take that apart a little bit, because there's self-protection mechanisms built into the subconscious to avoid danger. And if you've built up stories that whatever the outcomes in your life is some sort of threat to your survival, then you become paralyzed where you're at. And you can't afford to do that in a highly evolving world. Technology is breaking past what our old standards of operating were going to be. So yes, how do you create a story like those announcers? that allows you, like we did a little prayer before this. We do actually a little prayer and meditation before all of our team meetings at Bioptimizers in order to paint a picture that allows us to have both the celebrations and uncomfortable conversations that we need to have in order to produce results in the world as a company. And without playing the blame game, if someone can't do that, we know that there's probably an internal dialogue that's holding them back, nothing more. And so I'm excited to kind of dive in today to your illustration of the Funky Five and maybe how those manifest in someone's life. So our listeners can just hang on for a few more minutes and see if you might be struggling or overlooking one of these Funky Fives that could be holding you back from maybe what you want to achieve in your dreams. So what is the Funky Five?
Well, first of all, I want to, you said something very important that needs to be highlighted because it has an important impact on your audience. So in the physical world, for the most part, things are improving.
Yes.
Mortality is down. Lifespan is up. Incredible technologies. It's all getting better because people care about results. And when you care about results, you innovate to get better results. However, when it comes to things such as, again, the Funky Five, anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, and low confidence, if you look at it, the results that we're getting from the experts, it's not getting better. Anxiety is on the rise. Now, here's why it matters. Because mental health experts call themselves experts. Dude, you're not even solving it. It's getting worse under your watch. Now, if you can't fix it, fine, but don't call yourself experts because then your audience goes to the experts. They can't solve it. Then your audience can't solve it. And what do? We blame ourselves. Oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm broken because the expert said, just do this and it didn't work. And I'm here to tell your audience, the experts don't understand this. My dad said results matter, not degrees matter, not letters at the end of your name matter, not its results. The father of modern psychology was Freud. He was a chain-smoking cocaine addict. That's not good. You want people that get results. And everywhere else, we care about results. If you hire a business coach, you want to see that they were maybe poor and now rich. But I've talked to clients that say, yeah, I love my therapist because they have anxiety and they understand my anxiety. And I'm like, what? That's like hiring a business coach saying, I feel he gets me because he lives in his basement and I live in my basement. And so we have this warped perception around growth where results don't matter that much. And we hire people that don't get us results, but then we blame ourselves. So I'm here to tell your audience, the reason you're still stuck with these Funky Five, it is not your fault. It is the fault of the people that you trusted. They're well-intentioned. They can give you awareness and tips and tools, but usually they can't help you solve it quickly. That's why you still have it. It's not your fault. And I say that so you don't lose hope. There is a real way. Imagine taking the savvy of the people that create physical technology and we applied it to emotional technology and we innovated. That's what we need. And the reason it's possible is because we approach this like engineers. We didn't regurgitate old legacy thinking that's not solving the problem quickly. We said, let's start from scratch, see what we want, which is that people are free of this quickly with a system that works for everybody, and reverse engineer. So the first thing that we did is we said, first of all, this is really complicated. When you go looking for help, when I went looking for help, it was like one person says it's mindset. One person says follow your heart. One person says it's your ego. One person says it's your childhood. One person says to take an ice bucket. One person says to walk on fire. There's like all these competing theories, and there's truth in all of them. However, it's unclear what to do when, so I can just effing solve this. And that's not anybody's fault. But usually, if you really know what you're talking about, things are simple. Newton created almost all motion on Earth with 3 laws. Einstein was E = mc squared. When you really know what you're talking about, you can make things simple. So we said, let's simplify this. So first, I want to explain the Funky Five and make it really simple for your audience. How's that sound?
Yeah, please. Let's get into it.
I'm going to explain to you the perceptual framework that allows us to solve the Funky Five quickly. And when I share this with you, it's not just some understanding. This is real. I had all 5 of those, and I have been chill as a cucumber for 10 years because I've used our system. I truly don't care what people think of me on a good level. I don't care if it's perfect. I do not need people to like me, and I can't procrastinate if I tried. It's just gone. So I'm telling you, this is real. And the way we got here was we said, let's simplify things. So first, inner mechanics lesson number 1. It feels like, and we're told that when we have anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, low confidence, we're told, and it feels like we have multiple problems. However, you don't have multiple problems. What you have is multiple symptoms of one singular thing, which
Can
is...
you say that again? Can you say that again? You don't
Yes.
have multiple problems.
You do not have multiple problems. You have multiple symptoms of one thing, which is fear.
Right.
Now, it's not a newsflash that we're afraid, but it is interesting to say, well, wait a minute. You could say you're a procrastinator, but you could say you're just afraid to start and finish things. You can say you're a perfectionist, or you could say you're a fear of making a mistake. You can say you're a people pleaser, or you could say you have a fear that people won't like you, so you put everyone else first. You could say you have low confidence, or you could say you have a fear based around being your true, authentic self. So can you see, this is important because, first of all, can you see that all of those are a symptom of fear, Wade?
Oh, 100%.
100%. It makes sense. But here's why it's valuable. If fear is the root cause and everything else is a symptom, the reason that matters is because your audience, that's not how we consume products. We go to the confidence expert and they work on boosting your confidence. Or you go to the procrastination person. We're going to vision board. We're going to lay out a structure and an organization. That's good for symptom management. But you're never addressing the root cause. So the symptom never truly goes away that much, not quickly. So I want to tell your audience, part of the reason that you still have some of these symptoms, it's not your fault. It's because the experts, while well-intentioned, sent you to the symptom level. But can you see, Wade, you're a smart guy. You understand inner engineering. If you go to the root cause, which is the fear, can you see that it's much more likely that the symptoms will go away and not come back?
Oh, absolutely. And let's quantify something. Fear is a useful biochemical thing for survival dynamics. Like, I'm not going to drive down the road at 150 miles an hour. And the fear and anxiety I feel from that because I might crash into something is legitimate. The fear that you can't reach out and talk to someone who you need to advance your life or improve your quality of life is not something that's supporting you. It's a false fear. And so there's been an adaptive response that's suboptimal, and you can take that apart. And we're going to get into how you do that.
Well, it's a good point because sometimes people say, well, isn't fear a good thing? Yes. When there is a tiger nearby, get away from the tiger. Yay. Okay. I had this conversation yesterday. 99.9% of the time, the fear is, as you said, false. Also, the intensity. So people will say, well, what if my family's in the hospital? Shouldn't I be anxious? Well, you should be stressed, because life is putting a pressure on you and your body feels pressure and stress. So what that means is stress is you should feel the thing approximately around 2 out of 10 to 3 out of 10. And you should feel it in the moment. When you're running late for a plane, feel a little bit of stress in the moment. But of course, people aren't just feeling 2 out of 10. They're feeling 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 panic attacks. And not just in the moment. They're feeling it 2 hours before the presentation, 9 days later. They think there's a tiger in their room when they're trying to Netflix and chill. So yeah, stress and a bit of fear under certain circumstances are helpful, but it's getting in the way. Specifically, that fear is what's underneath your procrastination and your people pleasing and your low confidence. You don't have those problems. You have some fears, some false fear that's manifesting through those symptoms. So we want to get to the root cause. Now, people know they're afraid and they've gone to coaches and therapists, but usually what we get is overcome the fear, face the fear, change your mindset around the fear. Now, that's not bad. It's better than nothing. I went to a retreat. It was all around facing the fear, changing your mindset around the fear. And it was great. I get out of the retreat. There's something scared me. And I used the tools and I pushed through the fear. And I got to the other end. It's great. Short term. What's the downside? I never actually got rid of the fear. So the fear is waiting for me next day, next hour. It's not gone. If you have a hill and you overcome the hill, great short term. But guess what? The hill's still there. So the engineer in me said, can we just understand mechanically where all this fear is coming from? Spoiler alert, it's not your parents. You can't blame them. Sorry. And it's not society. It's not the political party. It's not the outside. It's within you. There's a hidden reason, which I'm going to explain to your audience, that is creating this fear daily. And that's what's creating the fear. And then the symptoms, which is the funky five. And this was a huge breakthrough because when we saw what people was creating the fear that made it solvable, people could be free of the fear quickly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And for those people who are on the neurological side, I know we do have a lot of people in the biological optimization space. There's a great chart in David Hawkins' work. He's a very world famous psychiatrist that broke down the perception components of how you process the world. And when you are consumed by fear, it literally changes your perception and memory association. And then your forebrain, instead of working to solve the problem, is actually working to amplify the problem. And you literally get neurologically wired to that response system. But the good news is your neurophysiology, and my wife is taking her PhD in neurophysiology. You can rewire your brain. And once you rewire your brain, you just don't go through that component. And what it sounds to me, and what my experience when I went through your course today, is that you found a very simple and effective way to rewire your brain so that you don't have to be in that suboptimal perceptual state.
Well, 100%. And you experienced it. And while you bring that up, I just want to be really clear. I'm going to be sharing some things, and Wade's going to be sharing some things. And this is the perceptual framework that we discovered that'll help you understand this and give you hope. That said, it's not going to change anything. What we love for people is to try what we do and feel it firsthand. That's when people go, oh my gosh, this is real, and gives them hope. So at the end, I'm going to give your audience, they're going to go to my website, danielpackard.com, and download the training that you did so that they can feel this working for real. Because right now they're thinking, oh, sounds good. Of course I want to be free of fear, but that's too good to be true. So I encourage you at the end, or not, at the end, to download the free training.
What's the link? We can
danielpackard.com. I like things simple, Wade. I like things simple.
I love it. danielpackard.com. It's in the show notes.
90 minutes. It's called From Band-Aids to Upgrades. You'll learn, you'll go deeper with what we're talking about. You'll apply one of our techniques, and most people feel measurably calmer. And then I also give you a free coaching call afterwards where I'm going to show you how to apply what you learned in the training to your life to get more results. And I bring that up because there's so many podcasts where people say, yeah, and I did this, and then I did ayahuasca, and then I talked to an expert. And that's all great for having awareness. But when you really feel something working, it matters. So I just want to say that. Also, what you said is close. You said to rewire your brain. And there's a key piece that we saw that it's not that. However, I'll tell you what it is. This is what helped us. We were looking at fear, and we said, how do we get people free of fear? Not have awareness around fear, not always shifting in and out of fear. It's gone. Children don't have a lot of fear in the early stages. That's why they're open-hearted. You will never see a 5-year-old saying, yeah, I'm really thinking of finger painting, but I just want people to like me. You'll never see a 5-year-old saying, I want to go to the park, but I have a lot of sabotage syndrome. 4-year-olds are the best version of us. They're open-hearted, they're curious, they're loving, they're confident. So we said, how do we get back to that state? And we looked at the pre-existing approaches that, in our opinion, for the most part, weren't addressing the root cause quickly. And the usual approach to fear is usually that it's a problem of the mind. Now, we looked at it. There's change your mindset, which is valuable. There's stop your scarcity thinking. There's your ego is getting in the way. There's also mental health experts. It's got the word mental right in there. So a lot of people are saying it's a problem of the mind. Now, the mind is definitely part of it. And becoming a master of your own mind is incredibly valuable. You know that way. You of all people know that. But we said, it's not working as well as we think, not consistently. Some people get great results with just the mind, but I went to a mental health expert, didn't help at all. And also, these things are on the rise. So we said, what if the mind isn't the root cause? What if that's a symptom? And we realized that even the scary mind, the critical mind, that's not the root cause of fear. That's a symptom of where fear is actually originating. Where it's actually originating is not the mind, but the body. When we have fear, you normally don't say, I think fear. You say, I feel fear. And where do we feel fear and anxiety? Chest, heart, throat, and stomach. Are those mind words or body words?
it depends on what you call mind and what your neurophysiology actually is. So if you go to your neural cortex in fight or flight, or, rest and relax, the different physiological aspects, those perceptual negative emotion bases are related to central nervous system function. To get into the geeky
Well, let me
side of
interrupt, because you're
physiology.
right. They're definitely connected and related. And depending on how you define it and what happens first and a tenth of a second
Yes.
later.
Most people think of mind in their brain. Mind is the collective perceptual awareness of your physiology as well as your cognitive capacity, which are interrelated. So as you said, I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling anxiety. It's I got this turning sensation in my gut, right? So I would say that mind exists completely out. What we call mind is much bigger than the meat suit that we inhabit.
So that's true. And again, you have addition of mind, which is more inclusive and more evolved.
Correct.
So for the sake of this explanation, we'll say the mind is more thoughts and critical thoughts and scarcity thinking versus the body where we feel it. And I get for you, they're one and the same.
Prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex is what's developed in humans. And so if you go into your amygdala response system, you're into the central nervous system stuff, which is all of the precognitive feelings. These are precognitive experiences. So in other words, you feel this, you feel that, and then your forebrain comes up with a story.
Right. So that's important. So that right there, you feel it, and then the mind comes up with a story.
Correct.
But that, even though they're connected, that's critical because it's body first, mind second, which is kind of how we're wired. You feel hunger in the body first. The mind senses the hunger, and then it's like a little computer that problem solves, right? I know it's an oversimplification, but
well, actually, they're two-way trails.
No, I know.
For
but
example,
like for the sake
that's
of
how
simplicity,
advertising works. Yeah, that's how advertising works.
And it's not about the full truth. It's just when I went to therapy, it was, well, look at your thoughts, focus on your thoughts, change it. It was just focused on quote unquote the mind. Yeah. So when I say the mind, I'm saying mental health experts that say, let's explore and understand your pain and trauma. It's still up here in the mind. So when I say the mind, that's what I mean by the mind. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We're actually on the same track. It just comes down to what people define as mind. And I think most people define mind with, as you said, they define it as my thoughts. They identify the story that their brain is manufacturing. And if you can rewrite the physiology, which is what you're doing, you're going precognitive, essentially. You're going precognitive in this.
I'm going precognitive, baby.
Yeah,
so what you just said is true.
Process.
Regardless of how people experience it, but also when we go looking for help and when we're told what the problem is, I spent a lot of money where a guy just said, stop your scarcity thinking. So I thought all I had to do, I had these negative, scarce thoughts, and I just focused on my mind. Your audience has gone to people for help, and it's mind, 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 mind. And what I'm trying to tell them is I thought it was just solve it in the mind, but that's a symptom. So we saw that it was coming, it starts in the body, meaning that's how we're wired. Body senses something to keep you alive. Then your body tries to keep you alive. If you're in the jungle, you hear something in the bushes, you feel fight or flight in the body. Then the mind's little computer and says, uh-oh, we're in danger. Get us the heck out of here. Now, the problem is there's something that we're doing every day, which I'll get to, that's creating fear in the body. And the body thinks there's a threat. And then, of course, the mind goes, uh-oh, there's a problem, and then creates that meaning. And it'll keep doing it because it's trying to figure out, what are we afraid of? I think you're a piece of shit. I think you're going to turn into your father. I think you're going to die. Then once it starts talking to you, you get stuck in what we call the spin cycle. But from a pure analytical, where's the root cause? We saw that fear starts in the body, spreads to the mind, which is why usually you do breathing exercises. You calm the body, and then what do? The mind sort of quiets down with it a bit. So I want to tell your audience, if you thought you could solve this completely in the mind, you were taught that by some experts who had an incomplete understanding of the problem. They didn't have an understanding like Wade or myself. And so you went trying to solve it at the simple level, and you can't do it. And that's why your mind won't shut up. It's why your procrastination and people pleasing, it's still here because the root cause never got healed. And this is very important because I spoke to a client 3 weeks ago, entrepreneur, very smart woman, and she had anxiety and procrastination. She spent, I think it was $300,000, coaches, therapists, retreats. And she said, honest to God, I think I'm just stuck like this. I've just had this, I get by, but man. And I said, what if the root cause is the fear in the body? And she said, sounds good. And I told her that what we do when we work with people, we don't take your money up front because we haven't gotten you results. We only charge you at the end when you have permanent results. And she said, wait, so there's no risk to try that? I said, yes. She said, nobody backs up their results like that. I was like, we do. And she said, well, let's try it. So she went through about week 3 of our 6-week process. She just said, oh my God, it's not my mind. I mean, that's part of it, but it's my body, and I can feel my body calming down. My anxiety is down by about 45%. We knew that because we track it with our app. But also her procrastination was down. Her productivity was up. Her focus was up. And what she got when she went to the root cause, Wade, was hope. Because you're in the actual place. So this idea, it's not the mind, it's the body. It's not just information, it's hope. And I'll tell you where in the body it's coming from that we saw. And I'm sure you'll have your thoughts on this, Wade, because you know your stuff. But again, download the free training at the end so that you can feel this for yourself. Now, before I go on to where in the body it's coming from, any thoughts or questions, Wade?
No, that's all in concordance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all right. So this, and again, the explanation that we're giving, it's not to say there's not another way to look at this. Clearly, you, Wade, have a lot of knowledge about this. And I trust you because when we spoke, you don't have anxiety. You don't have low confidence. You don't, I guarantee you don't procrastinate. That you don't have that. So I trust you that your understanding works. A lot of people, I've been on a lot of podcasts where people, claim to be. So.
And to be frank, for those who are listening, it's not like I didn't have those things. I went through the whole gamut of those things and found people that produce results, modeled their behaviors. And then after I fixed it, became fascinated with the physiological components and realized I came to the same conclusion that you've advocated here, which is, for lack of a better word, we're going to call it mind right now, because that's a nebulous topic. What is mind? Like, it's like saying, what is a soul? Like, where is that? Where's the ghost in the machine? Where are my thoughts? Where do they exist? And they're like, well, are they neurochemical transactions? Are they electrical pops? And, Jungian philosophy says that there was a collective consciousness, which we type into, but that doesn't deal with the physiological components, which you've identified. And much of the work that I've done and our team does, and why we're having this podcast for people, I can concur, we spent a lot of money and a lot of people to kind of go through this. And the people who produce the best results have a process, like you illustrate in the course I took this morning with you, is how to get into the rewiring the physiological response. As I call it, rewiring the physiological, like taking that and taking it out of the system so you don't have those feedbacks.
And now for a Bioptimizers fixed digestion tip: supercharge your protein shake. Everyone knows protein shakes are a great way to sneak in extra protein, build more muscle, even replace meals and burn more fat. The problem is the highest quality protein typically absorbs at around 40%. One way to fix this and dramatically increase how quickly and effective your protein shake digests is to add 2 to 3 capsules of masszymes into your shake. One research study showed that pre-digested protein during a meal increased muscle growth significantly. To take advantage of this, just blend the open capsules into your shake, and within 15 minutes or less, the enzymes will have begun to break down the protein into amino acids. This can make your shakes at least 2 to 3 times more potent. Some people do this and sip on their shake while lifting to provide their muscles with a steady stream of amino acids during their workout. To save 10% on masszymes, use the code SHAKE10, that's SHAKE10, at masszymes.com. That's SHAKE10 at masszymes.com.
So what you just said is key. There's so many ways to understand why we struggle. Some, I think people are confused and they just learned something and they're sharing it. And I think it's just awareness. Some people actually do understand the root cause. And there's a lot of theories. Is it physiological? Is it a mindset? Is it neurons? And It's all true, depending on how you look at it. But what we wanted to say, we don't want this true. We want this to work. So this is the understanding that we did that allows people to solve and be permanently free of these things in 6 weeks. And we have a 90% success rate, and we back up our results. So it's not to say this is the only explanation, but it's the one that leads to these results. Because if I said to you, Wade, hey, you used to have it and now it's gone, and you figured out the how, which is incredible, puts you way ahead most people. And I said to you, how long approximately did that take? 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, just ballpark?
Well, that was an ongoing process of discovery. Oh, it's got to be more than a decade, because as you're growing in any career, probably more than that, because you will inevitably find your spot. What I would say is you'll find your spot where those things come up, even if you are extremely competent or conscious or whatever. And then what I have is I have a process. I have a process that goes, oh, you're in newfound territory. I'm in a new jungle. They dropped me in a new jungle. I don't know what are the spooky sounds. I know all the ones in my own jungle, but I don't know this jungle. And so now I go, oh, I'm feeling this. Now I can go to my process.
So that's 100% true. And if you go to somebody and just tell them that, hey, you're in a spooky place, they're not able to go from what you've learned over 10 years. And what you just said is key. 10 years. And that's about right. I was on a podcast, Michael Unbroken. This person is very knowledgeable about anxiety and trauma. And he listened to the 90-minute training that you did that I want to share with your audience. And he said, this is good stuff. This is essentially what I learned, and it took 10 years. He said, now you actually go deeper, and I could see this being faster, but I get that this works because this is what I use to really be free of my anxiety and trauma. And I said, that's great. Most people don't even know what you know. How long did that take you? He said, 10 years. He said, we got it down to 6 weeks. That's the key. And measurable, meaning as you go through our process, people say, well, how do you guarantee it? Because as you're going through our process, we track your emotional biomarkers for procrastination, people-pleasing, perfectionism, and anxiety and low confidence. We created a metric system to measure those. And you're daily reporting your data so that by the end, you know and we know we have data and we back up our results. So this particular perspective just simplified things to take your 10-year journey down to 6 weeks. But also the key is when you started doing it, Wade, it was go to this person for this insight. And then you worked on it for a while and you kind of got a bit. Then you went to this person and learned something else. And you over time piecemealed a toolkit and understanding that worked for you. It takes a lot of time. So we said, no. Get all the tools in one place that are optimized to work together. And this is key, instructions. For the body, if you want people to lose weight, there's instructions. What do you do on what day, in what order, for how long? It just makes sense. But usually when I would go to a coach, they'd say, you want to quiet your mind. Here's some breathing exercises. Good luck. I'm like, well, when? For how long? What does it look like? So this is why people get stuck and they don't ever solve it, because the experts usually don't give you all the tools and the instructions in one place. Then you never solve it. You think you're broken. You go on to the next thing. So what we did was we got it down to 6 weeks, all the tools in one place with the instructions such that if you work the steps, you get the measurable results. Is that not sexy, Wade? All right. And here's the other piece. You'll have your thoughts on this. I'll use our language. You can share ours. But again, dear audience, here's sort of one of the big insights that we got that made this solvable. And it's so stupid simple. You're going to know what it is ahead of time. And you're going to wonder why the heck more therapists, coaches, and spiritual teachers don't teach this. Okay. So we've got this fear and we're thinking, okay, it's in the body, but here's the value of the body, which Wade, the body, the physical body, the organs, the skeleton, the ligaments, it's a bit easier to understand and more mapped out than the mind, meaning the synapses and the neurons. We know more about the body than we do about the mind. We're still understanding the mind, meaning the actual structure. And also the beauty of the body is its systems. Arteries is a system. Your heart is a system. It's all systems. And engineers love systems because systems have governing mechanics. We know systems can fail and malfunction. You can repair a system. You of all people know that, right? So we just said, all right, let's solve this.
Business.
What?
I'm in that business.
I know you are. So we just said, all right, there's all these systems in the body that we can optimize. You know that. Bioptimizers, body, optimize. We just said, where's the system creating all the fear that's malfunctioning? So we said, all right, well, let's take out the word fear and anxiety, and let's use a word that's a little more human, which is nervous. And we just said, okay, everyone's feeling different degrees of nervous. A lot of nervous is anxiety. Medium nervous is fear. Then that nervousness and fear leads to procrastination, the people pleasing, perfectionism. So we said, okay, what's the system that may be malfunctioning that's making everybody nervous? And here it is, Wade, and to your audience, do you think the system that's most likely malfunctioning and making everybody nervous, do you think it's the skeletal system, the epidermis system, or, wait for it, the nervous system? What do you think, Wade?
It's the nervous system.
Gold stars to you.
That's a really actually good. That's a really good word, because most people understand that in the terms of it's a nervous system. That's a great distinction and connection to those five. The nervous system. Yeah.
What do you like about that? Now, you know a lot. What is helpful or illuminating about that?
Commonality and neutrality. So nervous is within the linguistic framework of most people's life experience. The amygdala, the hypothalamus, the prefrontal cortex, the neuronal connectivity, the axon dendrite connections, the neurochemicals produced by bacteria cultures inside your intestinal system, the vagus nerve system, like all that stuff is not common speak. It's been obfuscated by experts, often attached to Latin derivatives. You literally have to learn another language in order to understand this. And these descriptive elements usually strip away the feelings from that. And if you're in a suboptimal feeling state, well, you literally don't have access to that cognitive linear engineering type thinking. You are hijacked by this system, which, by the way, is older and more profound and more efficient than any of the things that sets us apart from the animal kingdom as Homo sapiens or humans. And so this is what we're talking about.
What you just said in way more articulate language is one of the things that we just saw, which is there are these experts that are using this language that sounds fancy and it makes them look smart. And it's not that they're not accurate, but you're not understanding it in a simple way that's solvable. You're making it convoluted, and people feel when you go to if you break your leg, it's painful, it's limiting, but it's simple. What happens? Well, you're at the top of a ladder, then you fell off the ladder. You're not supposed to fall off ladders. You put too much load on a bone. And guess what? The bone should be in one piece, but guess what? It's in two pieces. It's not fancy. It's not a scarcity mindset or a focus on pre-trauma. It's like, no. Then you go to the doctor and the doctor doesn't give you a bunch of fancy language. There's an x-ray. Your bone's in two pieces. How do we solve it? We put a cast on the bone, and there's a mechanism within the bone that heals it. You're in, you're out, no fancy language, and you can understand it. Should be in one piece. It's in two pieces. We'll make it to one piece. And so we've made it much simpler and solvable, because when it's confusing, people get confused. They think it's not solvable, and people have shame. And when you realize it's just the body, when we malfunction in the body, it's painful, but we don't feel bad about it. I was on a hike, and I saw a guy on the side of the road, and he had a blister. And I said, hey, how's it going? He goes, oh, I hiked too much and I have a blister. That was it, because it's mechanical. You put too much friction and heat on the skin, you have a blister. That's it. But when you talk to someone who struggles with other things, I had a client come to me 2 months ago, and he says, oh my God, I'm such a people pleaser, and I don't know why I can't do this, and I think I'm turning in, and I wish I wasn't, and then I have a negative mindset. I should have a positive. They're just beating themselves up constantly. And I said to them, what if it's just the body? What if you have a nervous system? Now, the nervous system is your body's mechanical threat response system. It's designed to detect threats. If you have a healthy nervous system, you feel a word that we all want to feel, which is safe.
Yeah.
Now, if you feel safe, you don't have anxiety and fear and nervousness. If you don't have anxiety and fear and nervousness, you don't have anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, and low confidence, because those are just symptoms. So what people are experiencing are not problems, but symptoms of a malfunctioning nervous system, which makes you feel unsafe. And then these manifestations of unsafety. So we just said, okay, let's figure out why the nervous system is out of whack. That's solvable. If you say, it's because of the other political party, that's not a simple solution. Well, it's because my dad scared the crap out of me. No, that's not. Unless you have a DeLorean, we can't go back in time. We found out a simple daily thing that people are doing that's making their nervous system unhealthy and fragile and creating this feeling of unsafety, and then is creating symptoms. Now the downside. Oh, you want to say something? What do you want to say?
Yeah, there's a piece that I think is to kind of bring this full circle, is you're dealing essentially with the precognitive feelings. So we think that the thoughts drive the feelings. It's actually inverted. And when
say
you
it again,
enter into
wait, say it, because most people don't know that. Say it again, Wade.
Yeah, it's actually inverted. So we think the thoughts drive the feelings, but the feelings actually hijack the thoughts.
Testify.
And for example, I can give you an example. I go like this. Bang. No big deal. We're on the camera. We're listening to You're Safe in Your Home. It's simple. I put you in a new room, in the dark, in a city you've never been in. And suddenly there's a camera mic on in the room you don't know, an amplifier in the room. And I go, the same thing I just did right now. Bang! You become overwhelmed. Your heart rate goes up. You start perspirating. Your anxiety goes up. What is that? Is someone trying to get me? So the familiarity of new development often brings these type things, because these are precognitive things that you aren't aware of. Our threat detection system happens way before the thoughts. And if you don't understand that, when you're going to a thought expert, a mind expert, whatever, they're talking after the fact. It's a delayed response to reality, where this system is so fast, so efficient, so quick, it responds before you even think of it. And that's what I got from your course, is what you're doing is you're going precognitive. And that's why it would be more effective, because if you don't have those feelings anymore, then you don't have those thoughts anymore.
Ooh, yes. And again, what you're saying is true. I know it's true because I have a calm body and a calm mind. I know it's true. But again, let's be honest, that's not typically what's taught. So this is very valuable. And let's just be honest. People say, well, how do you get these incredible results? I don't know. Go to the right location. Like that, for starters. If you go to the right place, you're probably going to have a decent. People say, how do you back up your results? We went to the right place. It's not that complicated, but it was an innovative way to look at it, because again, these people have legacy thinking. They make good money on never solving it. And also, it was a ton of work. 8 years. This is all we did. If you learned something and you can print a book and you can make some money and have some clients, you're not going to spend 8 years. I spent 2 years just working with addicts in South Africa. Most people aren't going to do that. But yes, it's in the body. And here's why. And again, you know it, I know it. I want your audience to download the free What You Experience, not a course, but a 90-minute video training where you're going to feel what's making your nervous system malfunction. And trust me, it's not what you think. It's something you are doing to yourself every day and you don't even know it. That's the magical what's making, because some people will say, well, my nervous system is out of whack because work is so challenging. No. It's something we are doing to ourselves every day that's creating this nervous system. Just like if you don't take care of your physical diet, you make small daily unhealthy choices with your diet, guess what? It shows up in your body as fat. When you have fat, you don't say, oh, this is my childhood. You don't say, oh, this is the economy. You don't say this is false fat appearing real. You don't say I have a fatty mindset. No, you're seeing the symptoms of little things you do every day that accumulate in the body through fat. There's a little thing we do 10 to 30 times a day that accumulates in the body that has our nervous system malfunction. Now, the downside is there's 28 things that you should be doing to take care of your nervous system. Most people only know of 5 of them, and they're only doing 3 of them on average. So there's on average 25 things that you don't even know you're supposed to be doing for your nervous system. So you can't take care of it. If you don't know to brush and floss, you're going to end up with a root canal. So we figured out these 28 ways. When people download the free training, I'm going to send them the 28 ways. And when people see it, they think, oh my God, I haven't been taking care of this system. No wonder it's malfunctioning. It's not my childhood. It's not social media. It's me. Now, the downside is if you don't address those 28 ways daily, you are doing small things that accumulate over time to leave your nervous system in a state of fragility, and you feel unsafe. When you feel unsafe, you're going to see these symptoms, which at best you can manage because you're doing it each day. It's going to keep happening. That's the downside. If you don't figure out the 28 and stop doing them, which we show you how to do, you're going to keep having symptoms. If you keep eating donuts instead of salads, you will keep the weight, gaining weight. You can't help it. You can vision board yourself skinny, but if you keep choosing donuts, I don't care. So that's the downside. If you don't move from unhealthy to healthy, you're going to have these symptoms. But if we want a simple understanding how to solve this quickly, why is it good news to find out that all these problems are just symptoms of little acts of unhealth daily that have been accumulating? Why is that good news if we want to turn this around quickly?
Because anybody can be fixed fast.
Yes. What's causing all of these symptoms is little acts of unhealth accumulating in your body over time, then you don't have to become enlightened. You don't have to burn your ego. You don't have to rewire your mind. You don't have to become enlightenment. You don't have to awaken the giant from within. You don't have to be your best. That's all very convoluted and hard to pull off. What if just daily you move from little acts of unhealth in your nervous system to little acts of health? Then as we know, the body heals with little acts that we lay out in the program for you to do. It's like a diet. It's like an inner gym. And then your nervous system comes back to health and you get to feel a feeling that I feel every day and our clients feel every day. And that feeling is safe. When your nervous system is strong and healthy, you feel safe. So let me ask you, to you, Wade, or to your audience, how much better do you think people's lives would be if you woke up every morning and your default, just how you felt, was safe? How much better do you think people's lives would be?
It's not even a tangible experience because you're literally experiencing a completely different life, even though the circumstances of your life are the same.
Amen. And why will your life be better and different and changed?
It is virtually impossible to access all of your unique gifts, capabilities, and faculties if you are suffering from a suboptimal emotional state, or you're overtaken by some sort of compromising feeling that the symptom of is those 5 things you illustrated. That's the symptom of a suboptimal state. It's okay to have that for 2 seconds in a dark room when a gun goes off that you've never been in before. Yeah, probably a good idea to have those. That's 0.001% of people's lives. So, or what it should be. Unfortunately, there's more and more people where the percentages are inverted in that they're spending most of their time in this unsafe state. And in that unsafe state, you don't have access to your full capabilities as a human. And once you flip the script, you literally are in a different life. You're in a different reality. You are in a different cognitive reality. You're in a different experiential reality. And your capacities as a human have been amplified exponentially because you never had the ability to be accessing those in that suboptimal state.
Man, you're a good speaker and you're articulating 100%. And you now are performing more and more in that optimal state. Wait, credit to you. And I wake up I wake up with that calm. And so therefore, my heart is open. I'm more connected. I'm more authentic. Again, we can't procrastinate. Perfection. I don't even care if I make stuff, try to help people. and you enjoy life more, but it's our default. I don't do anymore. I personally, no more meditation, no more retreats, no more apps, no more. My system has been set to its optimal settings. When you feel unsafe, that's going to win. It'll keep you from being the best you, from enjoying life, from getting stuff done that matters to you, from being a better parent. And you can't, it's suboptimal. You're terrified, or you're in your comfort zone, avoiding the fear. So either way, you can't be the best you. But most people are chasing the symptoms. And here's why it's so valuable. When you address the root cause, all these things realign and give you an access to your life you didn't even know. I had this was 6 months ago, a gentleman named Alan. He worked for Google as a manager. And he comes to me, he's like, I'm smart, but I have anxiety. He had all 5. He had anxiety, perfectionism, people pleasing, perfectionism, and low confidence. And he said, I'm not getting as much work done. It's affecting my earning potential. I don't enjoy work as much. I'm not as good a leader because I'm kind of scared a bit. Also, I'm just not enjoying work because I'm partly scared all the time. So he was intrigued by the fact that we measure this, that people only pay at the end when you get results. So he did it. And he said, I am so grateful I did this. And I said, why? And I thought he was going to talk about the fact he's not procrastinating more. And he got a promotion actually about 3 weeks after the program because he wasn't afraid now. He just naturally put himself out there. He said, that's all great, but it's helped me so much in my marriage. I wasn't opening up because there was this feeling of unsafety, and I'm much more open. I feel closer to my wife. She has the happier husband she always wanted, but also my kids. I'm being the father I always wanted to be. I couldn't because that fear underneath was making me make choices. And so his entire life was transformed when you heal the feeling of unsafety through addressing the nervous system. It's hard for people to say, this all sounds great, Daniel, but I don't even know who I'd be. I don't even know what it's like to be safe and just to be this way. And I say, I get it. But there is a group in this world that acts this way, which, as I mentioned earlier, it's children. For the most part, until children get scared, they don't have a lot of fear. So they're confident, they're open-hearted, they're authentic, they're loving, tons of energy. When was the last time you met a depressed 4-year-old? They have so much energy. You're like, would you chill and take a nap? So to all of you listening, if you're like, who would I even be without all this fear? Think of yourselves at 4 or 5 years old. I guarantee you, 4 or 5-year-old you, confident, had bigger dreams, more authentic, more loving, more kind. That version of you is still in there. It's just covered up by this feeling of unsafety. So in 6 weeks, you can heal your nervous system. You feel safe. And then you can be that kid. I'm a kid now. I'm a kid. All this energy, I'm either on cocaine or I don't have much fear. It's just purely flowing out of me because I've reset my system, to use your word, optimal, basically, conditions. This is how we're meant to be. You don't have to become enlightened. You need to set yourself back to original factory settings. What did you say? Precortex? What'd you call it?
Oh, precognitive.
Precognitive, which is just in your body. And it's completely possible. But again, you're like, Daniel, sounds too good to be true. Really? How does it work? What does it look like? So what I'm sharing with you, the way we're able to get people that, we do have a 6-week program. But I want people to go to my website, danielpackard.com. And there you're going to see a way to do 2 things. First is you're going to book a free coaching call with me for 20 minutes, free. Once you book that free coaching call with me, I'm going to send you this 90-minute training that Wade listened to, called From Band-Aids to Upgrades. And you're going to go deeper with this and really feel and see for yourself that this is the body, it is the nervous system, and you're going to see what you're doing every day that you didn't even know you're doing that's creating all this feeling of unsafety. That's simple and solvable. And then we're going to give you one of our techniques. It's not the same as the full system, but it's one of our techniques that you can apply. And when you apply that technique to your nervous system, you will feel measurably calmer because you're going to measure it. And when you feel that, everything I'm saying is going to make a lot more sense, and it's going to give you hope that you don't have to live like that. But I want your audience to know what's in that training. It's what I wish every person knew that I didn't know, that prolonged my pain, prolonged my suffering, and kept me from being the best me quickly. So it's my gift to the world is this 90-minute training. It's the most valuable information, and I want the world to know it. So to get that, again, go to danielpackard.com, book the free coaching call with me. Then I'll send you the 90-minute training. You're going to go through that. It's going to be profoundly illuminating. You're going to see that this is solvable, and you're going to get a tool that you can use to be calm in any situation. And then we'll have our coaching call, which you booked. And on that coaching call, once I understand your situation better, I'll show you how to apply what you learned in the 90-minute training to your life to get more results, because that's what I care about. Results matter because it's the right thing to do, and my dad said so.
There you go. I mean, Daniel, first and foremost, for our listeners, imagine running a business that you're so confident that you only ask for a fee after you've produced the results. So if Daniel's system didn't work, he wouldn't be in business. And there is something that you might be feeling. Oh, I've heard this before. Oh, you're probably like the other people. Yeah, but the other people, when you go to a psychologist, a psychotherapist, a neurophysiologist, a psychiatrist, a pharmaceutical agent, a new age self-help group, a special interest group that's in doing things, a journey, a whatever, generally there's a fee up front and no guarantee of results. Like if you come back from the retreat and say, no, you know what, that $10,000 I dropped on that Costa Rican treat, it didn't work for me. Can I have my 10,000 bucks back? They're like, no, we can't do that. If I go to my therapist and, I go at the end of the session, I go, that session kind of sucked. Can I get my money back? They're like, no. If I took a prescription and went to the pharmacy because I was given a symptom to kind of check me out of that and it didn't work, well, are they going to give me my prescription fees back? No. Why? Because they don't even have confidence in what they're doing. And that's the big mask. Many people will hide behind senses of status, imitating, I don't know, I call it baubles, bracelets, and acclamations. You walk into a person's office, they'll have 15 degrees on the wall, all these awards and stuff to bolster your confidence in their ability to deal with that. Now, maybe they can, but if we go back to the start of this, we're talking it's $1 trillion year plus business and growing. If we've actually solved the problem, it shouldn't be a growing industry. It should be over. Like, it's not a growing industry if it's solving a problem. The industry is growing because they're profiting from the problem. And one of the reasons we brought Daniel on here and many of our other guests, because we are building a new paradigm for health. We are building something that is preventative. And years ago, I was doing some research at university while I was studying for my exercise physiology. And a couple things happened. And why this is important, I'm going to get to it in a second. But I had to do an article on the effect of vitamins. And this is back when you had to use microfiche. There was no computers and internet and stuff. That's how old I am. And I looked up, I think I was doing something on vitamin D, if I recall correctly. But no, actually it was vitamin E. And there was half of the studies in these journals that supported the use of supplementing vitamin E and half the studies that said it wasn't. I could cite either side of the argument and have a bunch of well-researched experiments demonstrating that I was right. And I could also write a paper in the same thing and make the other argument, and it would look real. It would look effective. And by the parameters of my course, for my grade, for my degree, I would be right either way that I wrote that article, because they weren't interested in the outcome. They were interested in whether I could cite the references and the reasoning for my logic. That led me to look at the New England Journal of Medicine. And I was shocked to find out, because it's like, who has these solutions? And I was shocked to find out that the New England Journal of Medicine, and you can check this for yourselves, said, we do not cure disease or illness. We treat the symptoms of. In other words, It's a management strategy, not a cure. And in fact, they weren't allowed to say that they cured something because that would be inauthentic. They treated something, and there was a business model. And that business model that started out really well actually became more profitable than solving the solutions. And now, thanks to technology like this podcast, some engineers came up with like millions of engineers have worked together in unison throughout the whole history of time to present this to you today. It's your lucky day. You have only, what was it, 90 minutes, I think that episode was, and there's a lot of explanation in it. So once you've done it once, you could do it again, be even faster. To say, you know what, maybe these guys are right. And I'll ask this final question before we go. However old you are and whatever your experiences are and whatever your emotions have led you to listen to this because you're interested, because it's speaking to something to you. Take a look at the collective time lost in your life up to this point and the collective negative feelings that you might have felt and the potential missed opportunities that could have happened because you didn't know this, and say, is my future worth a 90-minute trial? Is it worth it? Is it worth for me to spend 90 minutes on this, even if I don't believe a word these guys said? And I would put forth that it does. And that's why we do this, because we care about you. We love you. And we want you to be part of this new paradigm for health, which is, guess what? We can fix anything. So why not? Let's do this. Daniel, this has been an amazing podcast. It's danielpackard.com. It's in the show notes. Go to the link now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Do it now. Grab this. Stop everything and go through the experience. And as the great Jimi Hendrix once said, are you experienced? Go experience it. Transform your life. Where else can we reach you? Are you doing anything other than danielpackard.com? Is there, when to turn it over to you, is anything else or any final closing words that you'd like to add to our audience before we go?
Well, just that, look, there's so much knowledge and understanding about why we struggle, and knowledge and awareness doesn't lead to results. So sometimes people say, where should people follow? Don't follow me. Do not follow me. We spent 8 years to build a system to get you out of the cave of fear. It's the escape plan. And I'm giving you a 90-minute sample of it for free with a free coaching call to address the root cause so you can take action. Do not follow me. Do not think just take action. You are drowning. We're pulling up the lifeboat. Get into the lifeboat. It is free to try. Take action. There's so many other podcasts. Wow, that was really interesting. I never thought of my childhood. It's just knowledge and understanding. It's not a solution. So if you just want to learn about yourself and explore and gain awareness, keep going. Go listen to other podcasts. But this one specifically, as Wade says, please, this is rare. I am owning my greatness. And as you can tell, I don't have a lot of fear and I don't care what people think. Please, for the right people that are truly ready to change, go take action, danielpackard.com, book the free coaching call, experience the free 90-minute training, and feel it for yourself. Take action. Do not follow me. Take action at danielpackard.com.
Well, there you have it, folks. And that's another edition of the Awesome Health Podcast. I'm Wade T. Lightheart from Bioptimizers. Thank you for sharing in this. And of course, when you get those results, share it with someone you care, because that's how we get the message out there. Lots of love, and we'll see you on the next episode.
And now for a Bioptimizers fixed digestion tip: how to get away with eating sugar. Hey, look, sugar is normally one of the worst things for you. But let's be honest. I mean, we all cheat from time to time. And here's a little trick that will ensure your body benefits from the sugar. Now, before you eat or drink anything sweet, take 5 to 8 capsules of P3OM. The patented strain in the formula devours sugar so fast it literally doubles in the body every 20 minutes in the presence of sugar. That doesn't mean that you can or you should eat a bunch of sugar or sit around all day doing that. But on the days that you do cheat, or you go after one of those maybe meals that you wouldn't normally do, this ensures that you get something in your gut that eats the sugar. And it's not going to feed the bad guys or spike your blood glucose nearly as much. So to learn more about P3OM and its sugar-devouring and protein-digesting properties and how it can transform your gut and metabolism, go to www.bioptimizers.com.
Thank you for listening to the Bioptimizers Awesome Health Podcast. You can find more information at bioptimizers.com.